Hello and welcome to Postcards 22. I do apologise. I've been having some problems trying to download stuff, and so it's been extremely delayed. In Postcards, in Postcards 18, I did a short thing, didn't go very well, on Alan Bennett, and I thought I'd bring you up to date with his adventures. In case you're wondering who Alan Bennett is or what he looks like, that's not what he looks like, but what he used to look like. And there he is, more contemporary garb. And here he is, with his back to the camera, as he sometimes likes, his side to the camera. And there he is in a Waterstones exclusive. There he is. Now, I went to considerable lengths to get a copy of the London Review of Books. I went to Smith's, who said they normally have it, but they haven't got it. I then went all around the houses and finally sent for it, and they tried to deliver it, but not with any great vigour. And then I had to pay a surcharge. So this cost nearly £9, what amounts to little more than a newspaper in a way. But nevertheless, it does have at the top a round of applause for Alan Bennett. Well, let's see what we can make of that, shall we? He publishes on an annual basis his diary. And here it is. I'm not going to read them, of course I'm not going to. March the 20th, with Rupert now working from home. My life, Rupert is his partner. Working from home, my life is much easier as I get regular cups of tea and lovely hot lunch. Well, that's good, isn't it? I mean, you always want that. Around 6, Nick Heitner rings, highly excited. Piers Wenger, controller of BBC drama, has just rung him saying that through current restrictions make mounting any TV programme difficult. I'm sure it does, blimey. He thinks it may be possible to do a new version of Talking Heads monologues from 1988. That was when they sort of turned to the camera and sort of let fly with things like I'm doing now, actually. In fact, I could be in it because Thora Heard's dead. I could just say, hello, love. It's really lovely to be here, and this is not supposed to be impersonation of Dame Thora Heard, but you can get anything you want, and it's really great. And someone came in the room and he said, "Look under this settee," and I looked under the settee, and guess what I saw? A chip. It were a chip. And I said, "What's it done under the sofa?" And he replied, "I don't know. I haven't remembered my lines." Anyway, let's get serious. The 4th of August, Rupert goes upstairs. Yeah, I told you he got racy. To do his Pilates on Zoom. His teacher's round the corner. I expect she is. But she's currently with her husband in Canada. Still, up he goes into the t-shirt and shorts, as it's quite strenuous and makes no difference that she's on the other side of the world. Big row over E-levels. I'm not sure if I would benefited if my exam results had been based on coursework. I was a good examinee. He certainly was. He got into Oxford. But not much of a stare in class. I needed an occasion before I could perform and even put my suit on for A-levels, or higher certificate as it was then. Yes. It was all part of a showing off, which I could do right from elementary school. Around 10 this morning, the full bell goes when I'm just getting up. I'm in the passage. Often these days I don't get there in time. It's a work boy, not with characteristic bag, but just by himself. He keeps well back as I do, but immediately embarks on a spiel that he's from Middlesbrough. Thank you for that, dear. And do I want anything in the way of dusting or dishcloths? Such callers are familiar, or were until lockdown, and we've long been oversupplied. I generally get away with contributing £1 or 2, though this is not easy, as he provokes another spiel about him not wanting charity, that he's actually selling something, goods needed to change hands. Yes, I suppose so. But finding someone on the doorstep who is sharing my airspace and with coins themselves agents of infection, I don't even attempt to buy him off and hear him myself saying absurdly, "I'm sorry, but we have the virus," a lie with which the boy meekly accepts, turns away before I can get the door closed. It's his abject acceptance that stays with me. It's not the first rejection he will have this morning. There may be none so specific. In other words, get out. Letter here from Barbara Streisand, Kenneth Williams, John Gielgud, Vincent Price, and Morrissey. Morrissey, of all people, is Alan Bennett's neighbour. I don't know how close he is to him. Tony Bennett used to live next door to Mick Jagger. I can't think of a more, curious bedfellows, I hear you exclaim. 1st of December, a card from a friend, Paul Hincham, drawing my attention to a passage in Kilvert's diary, which I thought I'd read. New Year's Day, 1882. We're getting a lot here. I went to London by midday mail, reached 23 Gloucester Crescent at 3 o'clock. Katie ran down to open the door, prettier than ever. The monk was gracious, and he came forward with a smile and an embrace. The baby Mary was quite charming, blue eyes and fat rosy cheeks. Quite a window. This is quite a window with an Y and an E. She will be very pretty. With its innocent delight in little girls, its characteristic passage from a young Victorian clergyman's diaries. But unless the street numbers have changed, 23 Gloucester Crescent is my sometime house. Goodness me, that is a coincidence, isn't it? And the home too of Lady in the Van, whom I mentioned last time in Postcards 18, who was Miss Shepherd, who went and lived for 8 years until she starred in one of his little plays. Just joking. Mark Bostridge tells me that Kilvert must have been visiting his younger sister Emily. Window is their name, her maiden name, and her family. It's nice to think that Kilvert once called at the house. It joins a list of visitors, including Barbara Streisand, Kenneth Williams, John Gielgud, Vincent Price, and Morrissey, to which have now been added the name of the Reverend Francis Kilvert. I understand completely. So those people I've listed had visited Alan Bennett, but not on this occasion. He rounds out, I'm sorry that this year's diary dwells so much on my physical incapacities. Farewell to the bike, to some extent make faithful to the health that went with it, and my life is increasingly medicated. Yes, bless him, I expect it is. I'm blessed in my passage through the therapeutic jungle by Louise, who is an ideal pharmacist, cheerful, funny, and unbegrudging. It's a busy pharmacy in Camden Town with a quota of recovering addicts and ancients like myself, to whom Louise dispenses not merely medicaments, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but much needed good cheer. I'm happy to acknowledge the part she plays in my well-being. I must cost the NHS a fortune. Yes, I get my free prescriptions now. Jolly good after so many years. I must cost the NHS a fortune. I'm glad that through Talking Heads, we've been able to replace some of that. Johnson never fails to call it our NHS, though this offers no assurance that he won't sell it out. Yeah, maybe he will. He means Boris Johnson. But one hopes that now he's lost the chum across the water, there may be less of that. In other words, President of the United States is a new one. And he concludes, the 15th of December, there are those in 1914 who believed that war was just what we needed as a cleanser and a salutary shock. England would be better for it. As we wait for results of the final Brexit talks, the heirs of these fools are still with us. Well, Alan Bennett, I don't know about that. But what I do know is it's nice to read it. I'm glad that you're still knocking around and churning out the plays. Churning out, that's deeply disrespectful, isn't it? Let's look again very briefly. This is from the London Review of Books. James Wood, talking about Beethoven. Mian Christ, talking about gear theory. And a story by Lydia Davis. It does contain quite a lot. Enormous amount of content. Arsene Wenger. That's football, isn't it? He's the manager. Yes. A poem. Yes. Various letters. I was thrilled to learn through reading Kate Retford's description of neoclassical dress that my father's matronly figure conforms to the late 18th century ideal. It only struck me later that although my bust is indeed 1.5 inches above my waist, both would have needed to be higher relative to my chin. I mean, where else would you read that? Get real. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. There's an advert for corduroy trousers. Are you comfortable, it says. Yes, I suppose I am. It's an advert for gingerbread. Gingerbread is a lovely squidgy treat which has to play a part in almost everyone's childhood. But I do know that gingerbread was made what gingerbread was made of when it first arrived on our plates. We may have to wait and see. This is the London Review of Books advert for itself. And a book by John Carey. I'm about to add my usual thing. I think I know that name. I do think I know that name, but you know. Enormous amount of detail. Talking about Burlington House. Behind the velvet curtains on the staircase in the east wing of Burlington House in London is an 8-foot tall map of England, Scotland and Wales made up of 15 pages. How can you display 15 pages? I suppose you could if you flipped it around. Like in station platforms where you used to get them, you used to click them around, didn't you? I always get fed up with people in clicking CDs and people going so fast as if they're sort of playing a little St. Vitus dance tune. The railway hobby. On a wet and windy Saturday in October, a few regulars of the Ian Allen Book and Model Shop gather outside the premises for the last time. In other words, it's closing. Oh yes, here's Wenger. Here we are. It looks to me as if he's lost or feels lost. Even more lost than the team, maybe. We want our Mars bars. It's his book for 25 quid. In November, he appeared, that's Anton Wenger, on Desert Island Discs. After the disappointment of the book, it was a relief to encounter Wenger I knew and loved, funny and urbane, but quite nerdy taste in music. His one luxury, he said, would be football. He was asked how he relaxed these days. The famous not relaxed Wenger remarked, I relax by watching other managers suffer and think, it's your turn now, my friend. Well, my friends, we've had nearly 14 minutes of not Alan Bennett. I've been James Pratt, and this has been Postcards 22. Also look at Postcards 18 if you want more information about Alan Bennett. I hope that you do. Goodbye.